What's up again, guys? Brian here at 3TR, ending my year and continuing my series of top list videos. This time I'll be going over my top 5 best games that I played of 2014. Now 2014 was a very solid year of games, although I didn't really get to play as many games as I would have liked to. I did happen to play a good number of them that really did stand out for me this year. So jumping right into the list, starting out with number 5 on my list, is a game that some of you might actually find a bit surprising, and I picked The Evil Within. Now look, if you saw my review for it, you know how I feel about the story. This story is completely lackluster, the pacing is terrible, and has undoubtedly some of the worst writing I have ever seen for a game of a genre, period. But what the game escalates in is everything else. The gameplay, the atmosphere, the gameplay experience, the music, the atmosphere, everything about it else outside the story works. I do believe that, in my opinion, The Evil Within really should be considered as a staple of how you illustrate how to survive a horror, because it's not about going around and killing everything in sight. This is a very, very resourceful game, and there are some situations where it is best to kind of sneak around and avoid combat and save up your resources for much harder challenges. Otherwise, as you go farther, the game is going to be a lot harder than it needs to be. And I do believe that The Evil Within captured the essence of that type of gameplay style perfectly. And that's why I feel like I had to add it on this list as number 5. Going on into number 4 is a game that is part of a franchise that I think is starting to fall from grace, and I think we're starting to see a couple cracks in its armor, and that is Assassin's Creed Rogue. Now, I'm not really a big fan of Ubisoft's decision to keep releasing Assassin's Creed games year after year after year, and if they keep going like this, then they're going to find themselves in the same position as the Call of Duty franchise, where each game, as we go on further, it kind of feels lackluster because they're not really giving these games enough time to really show the innovation. And if you played Unity, that game can end up being just flat out broken at times. But Rogue really did feel like a continuation from Black Flag. I'll be honest, it didn't really feel very revolutionary, but it did continue from Black Flag. And Black Flag, to me, really was my favorite Assassin's Creed of all time. I also like that in terms of story, we got a much different take on it than we usually do. We're not just playing as an assassin, we're playing as an assassin that made a mistake and decided to cross over to the Templars. And up until this point, we'd always been given the idea that, the assassins were good and the Templars were bad. But after playing this game, you kind of can see a hint of gray on both sides, because there are definitely some assassins in the Assassin's Creed Order that are complete assholes, and I took quite a bit of pleasure in killing them, and there are certainly a number of Templars that I don't really regard as bad, and they actually do have some honorable ambitions. And I like that Rogue was able to capture that, and I also love how they were able to also keep the naval combat, and it also took us to a much different environment with the whole ice and the snow. I certainly did like their take on it, and Rogue, kind of sets up the events of Unity, and in my opinion, Rogue blows Unity out of the water, and I was very happy to at least visit that type of gameplay style with Black Flag one last time, and maybe if we're lucky, maybe we'll continue it in a future game if it's given enough time for its development stage, and that's why it's number 4 on this list. Going on to number 3 is a PlayStation 4 exclusive, which I enjoyed, but it was a little bit disappointing, and that was Infamous Second Son. Now, in my opinion, Second Son is the weakest installment in the Infamous franchise. I don't think it's nearly as good as 1 and 2, but I do think it is a step in the right direction in terms of showing what the PlayStation 4 is capable of with this type of gameplay. It is a sandbox open game, and there's certainly a lot to do with your powers, and I think Deslan is certainly an interesting enough character to really, I can't really say carry on the torch of Cole McGrath as a character, but certainly show that there are certainly interesting characters that are conduits as well. I also like that this also opened the door for them to release a separate expansion, being able to play as Fetch, because Fetch really was a pretty entertaining character for the most part. And I certainly enjoyed how it felt like Infamous 1 and 2. It did have a couple of changes. The powers were definitely very unique. The story was a bit short to me, but I would really like to see the story continue in the next installment. I mean, hopefully, if we're lucky, if they continue with the ending of Infamous 2, maybe we could see a return to Cole McGrath. I mean, if they did that, that would just blow my mind away, because you guys know how much I really enjoyed Cole McGrath in Infamous 1 and 2. And this just showed that, there definitely is still a lot of interest in this world of Infamous, and that's why it's number 3 on this list. Going on into number 2 is a game that I also was quite surprised I enjoyed as much as I did, and that is Wolfenstein A New Order. Now look, you guys know I'm not really the biggest first-person shooter fan, but I have to say, coming from someone who actually grew up in the 90s and got a chance to play the first Wolfenstein 3D, I'm happy to say that this game really did bring the franchise back to me in a whole, because I like how we're continuing the story from that main character, and this time around, instead of, trying to stop the Nazis from winning World War II, they've already won, and so you actually get to see the world as it would have been if the Nazis had won. And you kind of get this feeling of like a steampunk environment, and the weapons are very creative, and the story is very innovative, and a lot of the boss fights just have this massive epic scale, and they are truly some of the all-time best first-person experiences that I've had in a very long time. And for me, I would say this was certainly the definitive first-person shooter game that I played for 2014. And I really would hope that they do a sequel for this, because they did leave this game open for a sequel, though I'm just not sure if a lot of people were as interested in this game as I was. But this game really did bring Wolfenstein back to me. I'm happy that I played this game. I'm happy that I own this game, and I've gone back and played it a number of times, because there are certain points in the game where it can go in one direction or another, and that can drastically change how the story plays out. And that is why I had to put Wolfenstein A New Order as number 2 on my list. And now going on to number 1. The absolute best game I played for 2014 was not a next-gen game, but a past-gen game, and that was SelfPark Stick of Truth. Oh my god. The guys at the creators of SelfPark did it again. They have managed to create probably not just one of the best RPGs for a television show, probably one of the best RPGs I've ever played ever. SelfPark The Stick of Truth captures everything that SelfPark has and takes it to a whole nother level. Because if you watch SelfPark as much as I do, you know that the television show has limits. I mean, there's certain directions that the show won't go. But this game just takes that concept and throws it completely in the trash, and this game goes in directions you never thought you would see. I mean, this is like if they took the movie, which, is way more offensive, way more gross, and goes in directions that the show could never go, and makes a whole game around it. And the fact that the way the game looks, it looks like an episode of South Park, it felt like its own season, was just something that I felt I had to go back and play multiple times. And to kind of see my own avatar interact with Cartman and Kenny and all the great South Park characters was just something that, as a South Park fan, was just a very personal, enjoyable experience for me. And I want them to do a second one. Give me a South Park Stick of Truth for whatever second game. Get it out right now, because I'm kind of enjoying going around killing evil baby fetus Nazis that spout Hitler lines, which I have to say was truly epic. And for that, those are the top 5 games that I played for 2014, and I really would like to know what were some of the top best games that you guys played this year. Let me know your list in the comments down below, and if you like this video, feel free to like, comment down below, and please subscribe to track me in my future top list videos. And like always, thank you guys for watching, you're awesome, and I'll see you next time.